Okay, guys, this is QUASAR QUA-NOLOGY 15. We are at the end of Phase 1 of QUASAR QUA-NOLOGY, which we'll explain at the end of this episode. I'm joined again by Bex Luther.
What up?
And G.I. Jolie. This is your host, Mike L. We are reviewing Incredible Hulk, number 279, by Bill Mantlo, Sal Buscema, and Greg LaRocque. Becca, would you like to quickly summarize this story?
The Hulk gets a parade because now he is Bruce Banner, but in the Hulk's body, I guess.
It's one of the strangest comics I've ever read. Basically, the entire issue is the Hulk just doing this, participating in this parade and doing like a kind of a press conference, getting presented with a key to the city, and I don't know what to say about this. It's not really a story, is it?
Well, every superhero comes by to tell the people how much that they have a boner for the Hulk.
Right.
And it's really weird.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like there's not really a story, so you can't really summarize it, other than that virtually every Marvel superhero shows up, including QUASAR, who has no dialogue. He's only in the first few panels of this issue. So there's not really much to say about QUASAR. As far as the story itself,
It's there.
This is one of many times that the Hulk became intelligent.
Before
Sure.
anyone strings us up, I'm just going to correct ourselves here. The author is Bill Mantlo. Mark Gruenwald and Greg LaRocque are the artists. Janice Chang is the letterer, and Bob Sharon is the colorist. Sal Buscema is not involved in this book.
Oh, did I say Sal Buscema?
Yes.
Oh my god.
And I know someone's going to point it out because we're real good at being wrong.
That's true. You know what? It's because Sal Buscema did the next issue, and I sort of just imposed his name onto this issue. You're right, he didn't. So it's once again Mark Gruenwald doing art, who also did the last comic we reviewed. So again, the art has kind of a similar vibe to it. Greg LaRocque did the inks on this one, so it's actually noticeably different. Mm-hmm. The art's pretty good in this one. The story's bizarre, as we said. Basically, like we said, he's up there doing speeches. Not much happens. People come up and do... It's almost like a wedding where people are coming up and reminiscing. Or a funeral. Coming up and reminiscing about the Hulk and his memories they have with him. Then the Thing comes in and presents a giant statue of the Hulk. Also, we also learn in the backstory that the Hulk has received a presidential pardon. For all the destruction, I mean, let's be clear. He must have murdered people over the years. I don't know the exact number, but he must have murdered someone, right? I mean, with all the destruction he caused.
Oh yeah, and then the Inhumans show up, and
the Asgardians show up,
and then literally all of Asgard shows up, and
strange story. The
Defenders.
Oh, I forgot
the
the Atlanteans show up, right?
Never, and then a ship.
But how are they breathing?
But also, we get to see all of these international heroes that were introduced in Contest of the Champions, like Shamrock, Defensor, Sabra.
Oh yeah, and then
Cage.
the page of non-American superheroes.
Yeah, you got to stick them in there. Unfortunately, they only get a page.
Yeah, they get one page. Everyone gets one little picture.
Mm-hmm. Like Arabian Night. May Allah guide the green one. Oh, may Allah guide the
green one. Black Panther's there. I thought he'd get more screen time, but nah, he's not from America, so.
Yeah.
All Alpha Flight.
It's so...
Oh, Sasquatch and Alpha Flight. I think Sasquatch was part of Alpha Flight. Is he? I thought he was just there sometimes.
Oh no, he was in it for sure, yeah. We've got a lot in common, you and I, Hulk. Anyway.
I'm big, and you're also big. And yeah, do they ever bring back Shamrock? Because I like her.
Shamrock? I'm sure she showed up at some point, but never in any significant role, that's for sure. I really like Blitzkrieg's costume here, the German guy. Cool, very cool.
And the Soviet Union guys show up.
Mm-hmm. Vanguard, Darkstar, and Major Ursus. Awesome. The Soviet super soldiers. Then Silver Surfer comes. It's kind of funny. What's that?
I forgot Silver Surfer came.
It's funny, how did he even know about this?
He's a Silver Surfer. How would he not know?
Willie Lumpkin shows up and shows him the fan mail. What did you think of the scene of the Hulk crying?
Dumb.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, it brought a tear to my eye. Yes, for once in my life, the world is beside me. instead of against me. The only words I can find to express the way I feel right now are thank you.
But, like, Bruce, I get that you're sad, but you also destroyed a lot of stuff. Like, I get it, you're discriminated against, but you also did a lot of bad things.
It's also kind of interesting because this issue is structured in a way that it really only has 1 or 2 scenes. It has one long scene of the Hulk at this parade. Then it has this cutaway to an alien planet, Krylor, where some woman is sort of like... She reveals that it's all part of her secret plan, and we don't find out why in this issue what's going on, but we'll find out later. Then we cut over to the leader here, who's all upset about whatever. We cut back to the parade, and basically, that's it. That is the story.
The leader was saying that he is the mastermind behind the world liking the Hulk now.
That's right. Yes, Jackdaw. Despite your blunder at Gamma Base, no one suspected the lethal leader of having manipulated events from afar to make the Hulk a hero to the world, thus engineering his acceptance. Awesome.
You also forgot to mention that the Watcher comes.
The Watcher? Did he come?
Yeah, he gives him a 20-sided die.
That's right. And that's the D&D. Weirdest looking Watcher I've ever seen, I must say. Usually his head's a lot bigger.
Yeah. They just drew his body big.
Yeah, and he gives him this dice or die.
With pictures of all of his friends on it.
Mm-hmm.
Also dumb.
So then we get to this last issue where basically he sees Betty Ross in the crowd, and then Betty Ross...
She pieces out.
Yeah, she disappears. And then it basically ends with him sort of lamenting over Betty, and then Reed Richards is walking towards him. He says, well, Hulk, it looks as if your lonely days are over. And then everyone's around him, and then that's the end. Next month, alone in a crowd. That is, like I said, one of the weirdest comics I've ever read. And that's a very strange note to go out on in this podcast. Becca, what'd you think overall of this issue?
It's pretty dumb.
Pretty dumb?
Well, it's just like another... What was whatever one we read before, one of the Dowser ones, where I was like, it was just kind of like a waste of my time.
We're 7 minutes in. Anyway, we have nothing to say about this comic.
Wolverine claps with his claws. That's cool.
I noticed that too. Wait, where was that? I noticed that. That was so funny. Let me just go back here.
Where everyone's clapping, but instead of clapping, Wolverine extends his adamantium claws.
I have to find it right now.
Also, the statue's made out of adamantium.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not?
Darn it.
It's a teeny tiny panel near the... It's right. You passed it.
Oh, I passed it?
That one.
Oh, right here. So this is digital page 9. Original page 6. Everyone is clapping, but Wolverine just pops his claws, and they actually drew in the... Actually, it doesn't even say snicked. It just says snick. So I guess they hadn't finalized the sound effect at that point.
But, doesn't that hurt him still?
Huh?
I thought Wolverine would use his claws when he had to.
Because it hurts, you mean?
Yeah.
I think at this point they hadn't established that it hurts.
Okay.
That came later, yeah.
Because I was, so confused. I was like, what... It's like there's a really great GIF online from the X-Men animated series where Wolverine's using his claws to cut sausages up.
Uh-huh.
And it's just and then there's another scene where he's like, it hurts every time.
Yeah.
And it's just all right, we'll put it with the sausages though.
That's kind of gross too, because every time he pops his
people.
claws, he does bleed, right?
And then he also stabs other people.
Yeah, and then he's using those same claws to cut sausages. That's kind of gross.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Wouldn't his healing factor just heal around the popped out claws? That's what I never got. It's like, okay, once a human is... I don't know what the medical term is, but if you leave something out long enough that protrudes from your skin starts to grow around whatever is the invasive whatever, as long as it doesn't cause infection. So he's he's this weird anomaly that his skin is being
penetrated?
No. Well, yeah, but
yeah, it is.
Sorry, I'm moving on.
Well, no, and then his bones come out too, right? So it's I had a hamster once that she chewed off her back leg, and then she had a little piece of bone sticking out. But then the fur grew around it, so she had little furry nubs. Because she did the same thing with the other back leg. Shout out to Scott, my little hamster that lived way too long. No, she was great. She was a great hamster. She ate all the other hamsters in her tank. Don't get hamsters. But yeah, it just the fur just would grow around the bone. So I'm assuming maybe wouldn't that happen with Wolverine?
Yeah, and wouldn't it happen faster with Wolverine. Like, it's just such a weird thing to think about. Yeah.
I guess we complain about...
And also it's just like, again, this is QUASAR.
We're talking about Wolverine.
No, it's not even that we're talking about Wolverine. It's that there's...
Well,
he shows up just like everyone else, but like...
Yeah, but we could have done a podcast about Firebird, and we'd have just as much to say about her. I don't think that's really relevant. I don't know.
Are we ever going to read any cool QUASAR comics?
Well, that's a good question, Becca.
And it's a trick question because there are none.
No, is the idea that we talk about him appearing, or is it that we just talk about the comic because he's in it?
The idea is that we just talk about the comic that he's appearing in. We're reviewing the comic he's appearing in. Now.
Anyway, back to Wolverine's claws and how they're unrealistic, and also back to Spider-Man driving a car and how it's too realistic.
But that happened last
That was in the last episode, Becca, last week. Remember?
Yeah, I was there. So I remember it.
This is a weird comic that I don't think could possibly be published today. What do you think? I don't think it could exist.
Well, they reprinted it in 2007, according to the copy that we're reading.
But what I mean is, no one could write this today. No one even think to write this today because I think they take themselves way too seriously now at Marvel and to some extent DC. But I'm not saying this is a great comic, but...
No, and also what part of this too is like them... It's also kind of a weird form of them taking themselves way too seriously as well. Like they really take themselves seriously enough to not do something as kind of like gangsters giving a Hulk a parade like this and kind of making a big deal about it and having everyone like ascend upon New York in order to like, is it New York?
Yeah.
In order to like make a big deal out of Bruce being inside the Hulk or being, I can't remember how they described it, but like, to me, this is also them kind of taking themselves a little bit too seriously. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because it's just a comic of everyone just talking about how great the Hulk is.
Yeah.
And it seems kind of like everyone's talking about how great Marvel is for having the Hulk.
Yeah, like Marvel today wouldn't do this now because they're too good for it. Marvel did this in the 60s because they could. And they could charge 60 cents a head for it.
I know, but I don't see I don't get your point. I don't see how this is an example of them taking themselves too seriously.
There's no. We read this and go, "Wow, ridiculous!" But there's no self-awareness to that in this.
They publish this completely unironically. What I'm saying is that like, if they didn't take themselves seriously, they would publish this ironically in the 60s, knowing that it was ridiculous. They didn't think this was ridiculous at all.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
Like every superhero across the world and then some coming together to talk about how cool the Hulk is.
I'm just saying, because I know that Mark Gruenwald, in most of his stories, he uses humor. I think he was aware how ridiculous this was, but maybe.
But it's
I'm wrong.
not played off that way. It's played straight.
Well,
it's like when you're like a kid and you're like, oh, I like Justin Bieber ironically, but it's like, no, you like him.
Yeah, because here's the thing, and this is why I, as someone who's read Mark Gruenwald and knowing he's like a humorist usually, is that when you get to the end and how they leave the Hulk with you, that's where I don't think that maybe this is as comedic as intended, because it's meant to like maybe lead into deeper issues. But why would they introduce the deeper issue of like the psychology of a lonely physicist and also like a Hulk and a monster? Like, why would they introduce it with such fanfare?
I guess
with a parade.
I think it's semantics, because I think what I'm saying is that it's more like there's something about the way Marvel comics are done now, especially under people like Brian Bendis, where
you really don't like him, eh?
No, I don't. No, I hate him. But it's like he's so obsessed with making everything adult and serious that his mind is closed off to certain ideas. But I think even with Stan Lee, when he was writing in the 60s, all of his comics were a little bit satirical. There was a little bit of humor to them. And so I think it opens up the possibilities to a lot more things. And this is an example where now it's almost like take just the basic idea of the pitch. And whenever somebody says, if I say to someone, what is that comic about? And they describe it to me in just 5 lines. Whenever it's a Brian Michael Bendis comic, it makes my stomach churn. Because I'm like, that just sounds so freaking pretentious. But if I were to describe this to you,
the Hulk gets a parade.
It's fun. I'd be like, I want to read that.
And you'd be like, why? Because
But then you read it and there's no substance. It literally is just a
True.
parade.
It
But
isn't
it's
much
so
of a story,
strange
but I think it's
because
a great idea.
What they could have done was they could have had all of the Avengers in like their headquarters and still praising the Hulk. Like, it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. And then Hulk sees Betty on the street or something and he realizes that he is alone. And then you actually have this interesting dynamic between the Hulks now getting the approval that he always wanted from his cohorts and like his coworkers and everything, but still not getting the woman that he loves. But it's all overshadowed by how ridiculous and dumb everything is. And then you have this last panel where he's like, the panel where you said when he was crying, and I was like, that's stupid, is really stupid compared to the last panel where he sees Betty and realizes that none of this giant parade matters. Like,
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that last page is the only decent page in this whole story. It's just, if they wanted, but it's all ruined by what happens before it, because I'm like, oh, I don't care. You got a whole parade. Shut up. Be happy for yourself. Like, I don't feel the sympathy as if they if they could have done something else. And the entirety of New York is on his side, except for one woman.
I think it just shows how much he loves her, and that's all. She's the most important thing to him. And if she doesn't like him, if she abandons him here, she abandons him here, and the fact that she is not happy for him or she's not supporting him, that's all that really matters to him. I think that's what it's showing. But anyway, so
but
what
then
do you
you
guys...
have a whole parade.
Yep. So what do you guys give it out of 10?
0.
Okay. Jolie?
0.5.
I give it a 6 out of 10.
It makes me angry because I really like Bruce Banner as a character. And this comic diminishes everything that he's ever stood for.
Really? Okay. So you would not rush out to read... Would you read more Hulk comics written by Mark Gruenwald?
It's like, I don't know what that means, though.
What I just said. Actually, it's not even him. Would you read more comics written by Bill Mantlo?
Not if they treat the Hulk like he's so black and white. It's just, there's no substance here. There's Hulk sad and then Hulk sad.
I don't know enough about the Hulk's character in order to make a fair assessment between authors who write that character. So I can't answer that question effectively.
Good booty shorts, though. 10 out of 10 on the booty shorts.
So anyway, basically, this is the final episode of the first phase of QUASAR-Chronology. This podcast was reviewing all the appearances Quasar made before he was given his own monthly series in 1989. Okay? So now the question for all the listeners out there, all 16 million of you, is if you would like us to continue doing the QUASAR-Chronology, reviewing his monthly series by Mark Gruenwald and Paul Ryan. If you are, please let us know in the comment section, in whatever platform you're listening to this on. We would love to keep... What's that?
Send us an email.
Yeah, send us an email at...
mail@comicbooksyndicate.com.
Let us know in whatever form you'd like. But if you're interested in us continuing to review Quasar, please let us know because we would love to do it. But if there's no interest in it, we're not going to do it, right?
I have a question.
Sure.
How did he get his own series after all this? Like, after all this, like, his arm is in one comic, his butt is in one comic,
So,
like...
You know what?
But, like, who was
Because his butt was in one comic.
Heyo!
I think there's a good explanation for that. When Marvel got new owners, around I think 86, actually they might have got bought twice, but in 1989 they basically expanded their line and they said, okay, we want new comics. So they launched like 6 new comics in 1 year. It was, from what I remember, this is my hazy memory, it was like Moon Knight, Guardians of the Galaxy, a few other ones, She-Hulk, Submariner, and one of them was Quasar. Now my only guess is for a character that didn't appear in any Marvel comics for 6 years, the fact that the Quasar Monthly was written by Mark Gruenwald, and Mark Gruenwald was like an executive editor, it was probably just a matter of, well, I'm going to write my favorite character that I've been using in Marvel Team Up and Marvel 2-in-1, and so they probably just let him do whatever he wanted. That was probably it.
So they're like, well, if you ruin it, it's Quasar.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has a soft spot for a security guard.
Mm-hmm.
A nightly security
he's the
guard.
head of the security force. Okay, don't diminish. He had to work up that ladder.
And Quasar has a small but dedicated following, including me. I love Quasar. I've always loved Quasar. I used to have the entire run of the series. I've got the collection in there somewhere in my bookshelf. So anyway, I would love to review them, but only if people are interested. If they're not interested, we're not going to do it.
I don't know anything about QUASAR, and we've read so many comics with him in it, so it'd be interesting to see it, because who is Wendell?
There you go.
What is he like? What does he dislike?
And you will find out if you read QUASAR by Mark Gruenwald. So that's it. That wraps up phase 1 of QUASAR Chronology. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Otherwise, you can listen to other...
You can stick it.
You can listen to other podcasts on the Comic Book Syndicate. So that includes Flea Market Fantasy, hosted by myself and Mike Dell, which covers a different Bronze Age comic every week. Then there's Here Comes the Spider-Cast with myself and Joshua Mervell. And what about QUASAR Chronology? Well, we've reviewed every chronological appearance of QUASAR from his first appearance as Marvel Boy up until 1983. From 1983 to 89, he disappeared, and then he got his own solo series. So we would like to review his appearances in his own series, but we got to make sure there's people out there that actually want to listen to it. So if you are listening to us on YouTube or Facebook, please feel free to leave a comment and let us know if you're interested in hearing more episodes. If you're listening on Spotify or Stitcher or iTunes, then please email us at mail@comicbooksyndicate.com and just let us know that you'd like to hear more. Otherwise, thank you for joining us for 15 episodes of QUASAR Chronology. It's been a lot of fun. QUASAR is my favorite superhero, and I'm looking forward to doing more. Okay, we'll see you soon. Bye.